Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me the time to share a few thoughts with you today. And my talk today is entitled Matters of the Heart. Love is all there is. I mean, how many times have I heard that statement? How many times have I heard it and not really understood its meaning? Well, probably about 1,000,001. If I got $1 for every time I'd heard it, I'd probably be a millionaire by now. Woohoo! Well, you see, I didn't want to be the fly in the ointment, but from where I was sitting, there were lots of other feelings that existed, and they surely weren't love. You know, frustration, anger, blame, resentment, fear, shame, guilt, just to name a few. And I used to think in the back of my mind, or under my breath I would say, to people who reminded me that there was only love, I used to think, well, what planet do you actually live on? Because in my world, there are so many other feelings and emotions that exist, or maybe they just exist within me. And I needed to really grab hold of that understanding that love is all there is. It wasn't until I began to understand that we were, as with everything else in this amazing universe, created from love. We are made of love. We exist in love, and we continue to create within this love, that things began to make sense, and that every negative emotion that I felt was really just a way of drawing me back to love in bigger and better ways. These negative emotions were ways in which I could grow my understanding of the fact that there was only love, and that there was love in the deepest parts of all of these negative emotions. So, of course, my very practical mind had to go about seeing if this was really true. And what better place to go than out into nature? And boy, did I find the answers. But remember, I had to ask Nature Spirit to bring me images that would help me to understand that there was love within every single emotion that I was feeling, both the positive and the negative. But this was a pretty difficult task because negative emotions just don't exist in nature. But it was simply amazing what was brought to me, the images that helped me to grow in the understanding of love is all there is. So let's begin. The first image I asked for was an image, sadness and sorrow. And here was the image and the note that came. Remember today that even when I am drowning in sorrow, love waits with a gentle longing to embrace my soul. I hope you can all see that little white heart there in the midst of the mud and the muck of Diamond Creek. Our creek really goes up and down like you wouldn't believe in summertime. You know, one day it can be flooding everywhere if we've had lots of rain, and the next day it can be way down. Well, I caught this at a moment when the creek was just dropping in its level, and there was still a lot of mud and muck around, and this little rock was just sitting there below the water, and wow, what a message it brought to me. You know those times, oh, maybe it's just me, but I think it's probably everyone here, if you really like to admit it. You know those times when we just get so engrossed in ourselves and so caught up in our sadness of what's happening in life, because maybe it's not what we expected or not what we were hoping for. And maybe it's just taken a little longer for things to happen in our lives, to manifest. And yet we just seem to, I don't know, wallow in this sadness and sorrow. And if you're like me, Sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's a day, and I know a few short years ago it was a whole year that I sat drowning in my sorrow. And then at some point we have to wake up to ourselves and we have to realize that divine love is always within us, but it does not press itself upon us. It waits until we're ready to remember and embrace what we know to be true. And in that moment, we can dry those sacred tears. Important to still cry those tears, but we can dry those sacred tears and we can grab hold of divine love and know that everything is okay. It always has been okay. It's just that we haven't been able to see that. And then we can embrace that beautiful love and move on with our lives. What about anxiety and stress? Note to self, remember today that change is just love answering the cry of my soul to grow and become. So often with me, and I guess it's probably with you too, that anxiety and stress comes from our perception of life in that moment, or my perception of life in that moment. Often it is because I just don't recognize that things need to change within me. I don't recognize that it's time to let go of some of my old beliefs and perceptions about how things should be. Don't you love that? Should be. This beautiful little heart was found one day as I stood under a tree in the rain answering the telephone, and I turned around and went, oh my goodness, the tree sheds its bark so easily and effortlessly and with total love, as this little heart shows us. Divine love is always at the back of us having to change and grow. It's always that divine love that answers the cry of our souls to grow and become. But it's those times that we get anxious and stressed because we can't recognize that, or we forget that this divine love exists and it's only wanting what is best for us and wanting us to grow and become. So fear and worry, this is another big one for most of us, I would imagine. Note to self, remember today that love can appear in the most magical ways. I just have to watch and listen to capture its beauty. This little image brought a number of messages to me this day. First of all, the image, I guess, reminded me of the fact that when I stand in fear and worry, everything around me dies in the midst of that fear and worry. And yet, if I only stopped for a moment and looked out from that fear and worry, there around me is such beautiful growth, such prosperity. The grass is sending down its little roots into the ground to strengthen its beliefs of truth, or its knowledge and understanding of truth. And then those little blades are growing towards the light. If I could only step out of that worry and fear, maybe I could see that I have the possibilities, those magical possibilities, of finding divine love within the fear and the worry. This little image also helped me see the love that is there for me every step of the journey. I mean, I wonder how many others who walked that path that day, and believe me, there were lots. I wonder how many were too busy with the worries of the day to notice this image of love. The divine love was there for them, that they could let go of the worry and the fear, and they could grab hold of love and move on. Then I asked for judgment, anger, and resentment. Note to self, remember today that judgment and resentment builds a heart of stone. Oh my goodness, this message came in so loud and clear. And I know that I am so guilty of judgment and resentment. And these emotions will, I know, eventually eat away at my cells and cause illness within me. I also know that these emotions do build a heart of stone. I just have to remember to let go of the judgment and resentment. And I also have to remember that there is still a heart there that can be changed if I so choose to change it. I can dig deep within that heart and find divine love. Find the love that allows me to let go of the judgment and resentment and know that I don't have to resent anybody, because divine love brings to me all that I desire. Discouragement and powerlessness. Note to self, remember today that if I fill my heart with a rock of solid faith, anything, yes, anything is possible. Now, we all know here at Unity that the rock really symbolizes faith and trust. Faith and trust in our journey. I found this little image out in the middle of our street, would you believe? Where we live in Eltham, we live on an unmade road, and I just love it because I feel like I'm living in a little country lane. But this little image reminded me that so often when we finally come to the fork in the road and we become courageous enough to take the path less traveled, there are times in this journey that we feel totally powerless. We become discouraged and we forget to connect with the very essence of our being, divine love. Divine love is power. Divine love is success. And divine love is victorious. So grab hold of this little heart and know that it reminds us to hang on to our faith and trust. And then, yes, anything is possible. What about overwhelmment and grief? Note to self, remember today there is a time to enfold another's heart with a hug, and a time to step back and allow that soul to grow through the journey. Now, I have just taken one little, one little story with this particular image, and I hope you can all see the two little hearts here. It was raining, and these little hearts had formed as the shower cleared. This one reminded me so much that in our overwhelmment and grief, quite often we look for others to support us and to hold us up and to, fix the situation. But I also know that there are times when no one else can fix the situation for me. I have to do the work on myself within, because it's my spiritual growth that is part of my journey. I have to understand that there are times when people hopefully will step away from me and allow me to grow and travel my journey, the journey of spiritual growth. And I also can remember through that journey that divine love is embracing me and enfolding me in the most beautiful love, and it's helping me on my journey. And if I don't hold on to that, my goodness, that's when I drop into the depths of despair. What about irritation, impatience, and frustration? I mean, this happens to me so many times throughout the day, and maybe it's just me. I'm sure all of you are wonderful at not being frustrated or impatient or get irritated at things. But I stood out in nature and I looked and I looked, and I was the only one getting frustrated at the fact that there wasn't an image of frustration within nature. And Bill said to me, "Listen, girl, I'm going to have to take a photo of you getting frustrated in the fact that you can't find an image." And I said, "No, there's going to be an image. There's got to be an image." So the very next morning, I arrived at the creek just as the sun was rising through the trees and the mist was rising from the creek. And oh wow, the most beautiful image and the note came. "Remember today to allow the light of love to dance through the mists of my heart." Now within this image, there are actually 3 images of a heart. I wonder, can you find them? I'm not going to tell you where they are. And I was also it was brought to my attention by a beautiful lady here at Unity that there was also an image of a little girl dancing. And the closer I looked, I found her. So see if you can find the image of the little girl dancing as well. Just beautiful. Now, back to irritation, impatience, and frustration. These are those little pesky emotions that pop up quite often, as I said, on a daily basis. And I just have to remember that within those moments to stop, to let them go, and allow this beautiful love, divine love, to dance through those little mists of frustration, impatience, and irritation, and send them flying to wherever they need to go, and clear my heart so that I can see truly love is all there is. Oh, great, we're now moving into the more positive emotions, and these were very easy to find within nature. Hopefulness and positive expectation. Note to self, remember today to look with love upon the world and be open to receiving the desires of my heart. Isn't this the most beautiful little pink petal, heart petal? And would you believe, I found this just outside the door last Sunday morning. There was a bush there just outside the door, and it's still there, and it is surrounded in love. These beautiful little images of love. And just as this little petal lay surrounded by the concrete paving, we too find ourselves surrounded in difficult situations at times, and wonder how on earth we're ever going to move forward, or how we're ever going to remove them. Well, guess what? This little heart is the most beautiful reminder to fill our hearts with the loving emotions of hope and expectation, because divine love is all powerful, and divine love removes anything that we wish to remove from our lives. So hold on to this image of the little heart, the little petal that is there wanting to embrace you in love. Enthusiasm, eagerness, and happiness. Oh, I love these emotions, don't we all? It's so good to feel them. Note to self, remember today to fill my heart with the magic of life and watch it bubble with joy. Oh, all of these emotions are filled with love, and the more we express these in our daily life, the more we see the desires of our heart manifesting in our lives. And that's all we need to know about that one. Freedom, joy, and peace. Remember today, that love is as gentle as a floating cloud in the sky above, and always ready to shower me with its abundance. Oh, don't you love this beautiful big heart that was floating above me in the sky? Now, I have this pretty wild imagination, but I just imagine that cloud to be filled with the abundance of all my desires, and that it's just preparing itself to shower those magical, precious droplets of my dreams upon me. So I'm constantly looking in the sky for these beautiful clouds of love that I know that are there, filled with divine love from me. And they're there for you too. So occasionally when you're out walking, I don't suggest you do this while you're driving, but look up at the sky. Find those beautiful clouds, those clouds of love that are floating by, ready to shower you with their abundance. Appreciation, gratitude, and joy. Oh, if we could live these amazing emotions every single day, how we would manifest our desires so easily and effortlessly. Remember today that the heart of the tree is found in its total willingness to give and to serve. Am I willing to give of my heart in a similar way? What a beautiful image of a heart within a tree. To be able to express love in so many ways in our life is a gift. And it is also an opportunity to shine divine love into the world. And radiating love is really serving our fellow man in so many ways, just as the tree serves day in and day out. I mean, the tree lovingly brings us the breath of life. It brings warmth to our fires. It brings us shade to cool, and brings us so many life lessons. If we could serve as does the tree, our hearts will glow with the light of love, and our lives will be filled with more and more love. So, after all of that, I would have to agree that love is all there is. Remember today that love is like a rose. Its velvety softness, its heavenly perfume, and its quiet unfoldment. And I will leave you with that beautiful image and that beautiful thought. Love and blessings to all.